All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, at least good afternoon if you're in my time and you're watching this video as soon as I release it. So probably not good afternoon, actually. But anyway, good day. And today is the daily analysis for August 23rd, which is a Thursday. And I'm going to go over, the major currency pairs that I normally do. To be honest with you guys, today I haven't actually focused on the charts all that much because I've been spending most of the time today just getting the final steps ready for our mentoring program that we opened today. And I'm sure some of you guys were in the webinar who are watching this now, so you know what's going on. If for some reason or some way you missed the whole deal with the mentoring program, we opened that today. It's a pretty intensive training opportunity, and assuming there's any spots left, which I can't promise you that there is, I'll actually put the link below this video if you want to look at that. But anyway, that's my excuse for not really having the most up-to-date information on my charts today. But nonetheless, we'll go over this analysis and break it down. One thing I did notice is that odd weakness was pretty incredible today. Even after that big time trend bounce from yesterday, I was definitely thinking long on the odd, and it definitely reversed and crushed me today. So that's one thing. And we'll go over some other stuff. Before we get into that, let me just slide this news over for you real quick. Okay, this is tomorrow's news, and as you probably already know, there's not a ton going on tomorrow. A Friday that doesn't include the non-farms payroll is normally not as exciting as a Friday as the first of the month. But there is some pound news, and that's at 4:30 a.m., so pay attention to that. And there's also core durable goods. So, two red tagged events is nothing to avoid or not pay attention to. That could definitely be effective in our trading, so we want to pay attention to those. That'll be the New York / London session news. 4:30 a.m. is more London, and then 8:30 a.m. is of course New York session. So a red tag event in each of those sessions. Okay, so that's the news for tomorrow. And other than that, we'll check our terms and then we can get into the analysis. All right, here is the terms for legal purposes. And we do this every day. It's not fun being a website sometimes because the government is very strict about what you can and cannot do. That's why every product you buy on a website has all the terms, and all the things like this that you do have terms. So we have to respond to the government and be legally right with what we do. So that's why we put these terms up every day. And basically what they say is just that we're not licensed or qualified for investment advice. This is just an educational thing. It's our personal views on the Forex market, and it's not something that you should risk your money on or hold us accountable for money that you might lose. That's basically what it says. All right, let's jump into the analysis. Okay, so the first thing I'd mentioned was the odd, and how the odd was bouncing very strong upward off the trend, and then actually today was a very large reversal back down into the bottom of this trend line. And I have to say that I was somewhat surprised by that. I thought that this tail from yesterday was actually the main fake out, and it was going to propel upward from there. But obviously the market was smarter than me, and either faked out to the north, or this is a second fake out to the bottom, and it's going to reverse back up. So that's something that I'm going to have to wait and see on. Now again, this trend line has been tested a lot, and one thing I do like to remind people is that the more often a trend line is tested, the more likely it's actually going to break. So we're at a point here where it definitely could break, and I wouldn't say that I'm now all of a sudden short biased on the odd dollar, but there is potential for that. A lot of times when a trend line is fought with enough, it'll eventually break through, and when it happens, you certainly don't want to be long. You know what I'm saying? So definitely be careful on this pair. I think that there's still probably a long opportunity here if we get a bounce tomorrow. But if we get a break, a retest, and a short, which all of you probably know by now is a pattern that I really like to look for, then we're going to have some short opportunities on the odd dollar. I don't really love to short the odd, especially because there's bad rollover. When you're shorting the odd, you earn negative interest. but still, if the technical setup lines up and it's according to your trading plan, then you want to jump on those. All right, let's look at the euro dollar. Now the euro dollar, interestingly enough, is up pretty decent for the day. So that tells you that the odd was really weak because the euro is rising against the dollar and the odd is falling against the dollar. Now, one thing to keep in mind with the euro dollar is that we're coming up on some major resistance. All of this area here is pretty heavy. This whole big loop that I'm drawing. So price could definitely struggle in this area, and that's one thing that you want to definitely keep in mind. If you got long based on this breakout, then you're probably up pretty nicely. And my advice, just in general, would be to lock in profit. I would think that the euro dollar is due for at least a hook, even if it is going to continue. In other words, even if it is long-term bullish, I think that a little hook back is due here because oftentimes, at least more often than not, a breakout has a hook. You can see even in this past breakout, a very strong breakout, we got a little hook before our next leg. And so that's what I'm waiting for, and I'd like to jump back on long if I do get a hook there. Okay, USDCAD. Now here's another one that USDCAD broke back into the channel, much like AUD broke back into its channel, except for AUD was continuing with the trend while the USDCAD is bouncing up, actually in a downward trend. So it's an upward bounce and a downward trend. And you can see that the USDCAD is continuing that pretty nicely today. Pretty strong bounce there that we have, and looking to head upward towards the top of this trend line. So take a look at that. New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar is one that Casey and I were long on before. I think Casey got out of that trade. And you can see that it is still faking out a lot of fake bars that aren't actually closing where they look to be headed. So maybe a tricky pair to trade right now. We got in this and moved our stop up to break even pretty quickly. To be honest, I don't know what that ended up closing out on the copier, but I know it wasn't a loss. But the New Zealand is being a little tricky. So not sure what my sentiment is on New Zealand. It's back in a channel here. So to be honest, I'm probably just not going to trade it because it's just being a little tricky. Okay, Euro Pound. Now I haven't looked at Euro Pound in a little while because I was waiting for it to come back up to this trend line, which you can see here. It's a pretty long-term trend line actually. I can scroll back and you can see that it's a lot longer term than even I have drawn. But I just wanted to wait for it to get back to this trend line to provide me with a great short opportunity. And you can see that it did not do that. It actually broke right through the trend line on this latest move. So that has me thinking a few different things. Number one, I'm thinking, okay, this could be a big time fake out because Euro Pound has so much downward pressure. This could be just a big time fake out, getting people along so that it can stop them out and create a massive vacuum back to the downside. Because what will happen is it'll go up like this, it'll stop out all the people who are short, and then it'll get more people jumping on long, and then it'll reverse and do the exact same thing on the other side. And so that's my first thought. Maybe that's what's going on, and I just need to be more patient and wait for my short. The second thing that I have, in my mind is that there's people who are just holding shorts all up here, just way up at these higher prices, holding shorts, and the market is sick of giving them money because it's trending too much. So what it's going to do is it's going to make a power surge all the way back up to much higher highs. And make sure that those people holding long-term shorts are not going to get rich off this Euro Pound trend. So in that idea, I might think, wow, a long off this support line is going to be a great trade. But I have these kind of conflicting thoughts going on. So what I've decided to do is actually, you can see my two red channel lines here. What I've actually decided to do on this pair is wait for a test of that level. So if price gets up here and heads back down, then I will think, okay, my first thing was right, I'm going short. And then if price breaks through both of these levels and bounces, continues upward, then I'm going to think, okay, this is going much higher to stop long-term shorts out and really get a change of trend here. and I'll be looking for longs. Okay, so that's how I've decided to tackle this euro pound. And if you're looking at the euro pound as well, if you're a euro pound trader, shoot me a comment and let me know what you're thinking on that as well. I'd love to get some feedback. Okay, the pound yen is a pair that I know that a lot of people like to look at, and right now it seems to be rounding out pretty nicely back to the downside. So this is a trend line that I was looking at before, and I'm thinking there's a possibility it could come down and test that. And so that's kind of my thinking right now. Pound isn't especially strong right now. We know that. Euro's rising against the pound, so keep that in mind and see if you agree that this might be rounding back down towards this this trend. That's what I'm thinking right now for the pound yen. Okay, pound New Zealand is normally the last pair we like to look at, and it's one that's always fun to trade. And what I've noted lately is that it's in a very tight channel. I talked about yesterday that maybe this is a breakout, this bar here, and it's going to start this upward move. And I can see that I've got some confirmation on this. It's not a big fat bar that I want to see, but it is some confirmation that it's still continuing to build upward. So I want to look for one of these rocket shots upward, and if I get that, then you're talking massive pips. So maybe a 50% retracement of this massive leg down, and that is a lot of pips. That's like 900 pips or something. So I'm looking for a rocket move, and if it starts taking off, I'm probably going to try to jump on that one and take advantage of that trade. So that's another momentum setup that I'll definitely be thinking about jumping on. Alright guys, I think that's about it for the daily analysis. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those. And also, if you're interested in the mentoring thing, make sure you check that out and see if there's any spots available. Alright guys, talk to you soon.